Hello and welcome back to another episode of Come Over for Dinner. I'm so excited you're joining me today. I'm Bess Hawthorne, and today I am joined by Felicity Holt. She is married. She's been married for 7.5 years and has 2 girls and 2 boys ranging in age from 6 to 9 months. Welcome, Felicity.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you live.
I am super happily married to the dearest man, and like you said, we have 4 kids. They are so fun. I tell people all the time we're living the dream. Everything that we've just wanted in a family, I feel like our kids are just precious and, we're just having so much fun. Recently, we bought a house in August. It's an old 1920s build, and we're currently renovating the daylights out of it. It is in need of a lot of TLC, so that's been really fun and an adventure. We've never really done this much of renovating before, so it's been really stretching and eye-opening, but also really fun and satisfying too, which I'm so thankful for. One of the things we love to do as a family is have people over for dinner, which is why we're podcasting. So renovating, living in a construction zone, and hospitality has been such a hilarious combination. A lot of little funny lessons along the way, but it's been really sweet. We moved here for the purpose of moving close to some family in Illinois. So yeah, we're just happy to be here and enjoying to see all the projects and process of like every room in the house. It's a little crazy.
So as your guests come over, they can witness the progress every week.
My stars, yes. And it's really funny because you'll think that you're making progress because you're spending hours doing stuff, but like visibly you can't really tell anything's happening. So it's been
That is
fun.
so frustrating sometimes.
Yes.
A lot of the groundwork is things that have to be done. They're super necessary, but like you say, it's not the fun part where it looks like, oh, the room is nice and decorated now. No, it's laying pipes or, I don't know, foundation work or,
Yes.
Framing or
Yes, so
drywall.
Yes.
Not the fun, pretty parts.
Yes.
So having people over during a renovation project, for a lot of people, it might be like, screech, we're putting a halt on that until we get done. But if it's a pretty big renovation project, which it sounds like it is, then that would put brakes on hospitality for a pretty long time. So tell me your thoughts about continuing that despite all of the construction going on when you're saying, hey, come in, step over this board, step over these, nails and hammer or whatever. What's your mindset going into that?
We have halted for, I want to say like 4 months. We paused because honestly, it was just like they were exposed to nails. It was just like not a ideal place for any guests to be, particularly little children. Like I didn't want anyone to go to the doctors because of us, But we're at a new church. We're aggressively renovating, so I don't think it'll take years upon years for us to be done. But we're always looking for ways to get to know people on a deeper level. And I think hospitality is so good for that specific thing. You're sharing a meal together, you're sharing a conversation, and we just didn't want to wait anymore. So we just have decided to pick it back up. We're trying to do something consistently. So like twice a month, maybe sometimes 3 times a month is our goal. So it's nothing too outrageous, but it's been really sweet, really fun. And I've been surprised at the little ways that I can help myself along, just diminishing some of the chaos and just opening our doors. It's amazing what doesn't matter, actually, when you're opening up your doors for people.
Right. Yeah. If you have a working bathroom, that's number one.
Yeah.
And after that, most of the things you can kind of put on hold. It's okay if the floors aren't completely done or the decorations aren't on the wall or whatever. A lot of things can be let go. And people understand. They really don't mind. They know you're in the middle of home projects.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Are you having a lot of people come in and do the work, or do you and your husband do all of it?
We're actually doing all of the work ourselves. My father-in-law and my father, when he's in town, they're helping us a little bit here and a little bit there, but it's mainly just my husband and I kind of learning as we go. It's been fun. Yeah, lots of skills we're learning. I mean, so many things. We bought this house and basically we just committed to learning so many things that we have never learned before. So yeah, it's really fun.
Wow. How do you pick up all of those skills? Does your father-in-law know a lot where he can kind of guide you, or do you watch YouTube videos?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. He's come over, and when we were doing some drywall in our living room, we had to learn how to like lay the mud and sand it, and that is like so hard. Who knew that laying drywall and mudding would be such a challenge?
Who knew?
So he like showed us a little bit how to do that, and but YouTube is so helpful. There is just an endless amount of things that you can learn from people who are just really skilled. So yes, we've been having fun with YouTube as well.
Yes, I am a visual learner, and so it helps me so much to see it in action. I can read a book and generally get the idea, but if I see it, then it really solidifies it in my mind. So I love YouTube videos for things like that, and drywalling sounds kind of fun. Well, speaking of having people over, I think it's really fun that you are jumping into hospitality in a new church. You're the one that's the new person, and I'm sure people are inviting you over too. But you're already jumping in and saying, well, I'm going to invite these people that I just met into our home, and just not waiting for everyone else to do it. That's really a great thing to do. Inviting all your new church member or newly met church members over to get to know them better and make friends, and have your kids make friends as well. What is one of the things you might serve when you have people over? Is your kitchen a construction zone, or is it pretty much where you can cook in there? Or are you having to also kind of be really creative in your kitchen?
Currently, right now, it is not a construction zone. It is just about to be, though. So that will really take some creativity when we get there. But
Crock pot on the floor.
yeah. So my goal has been consistent and simple. So we usually end up doing hot soup, particularly because it's cold right now. Everyone loves hot soup. Last week I made a wild rice, chicken, and bacon soup, which was just amazing. The recipe is amazing. I don't know how difficult soup is. It's not really that difficult to mess up, but it was so good. And then actually, someone brought bread last week, but usually I'll make like a sourdough loaf and we'll serve a salad. And then I'll make some type of pie if no one's bringing in dessert. My favorite is apple pie. We have just this amazing recipe. I think apple pie is kind of understated. It's so normal that you can kind of underestimate it, but this recipe was such a find. So that's usually what we've been making. It's super simple. We've done this kind of the same thing for years, and I've found that even like when our kids are really, really little, like our youngest right now is 9 months, but I've found that just the soup, bread, salad, dessert combination, I can keep up with it even when kids are even younger. So we've kind of embraced that during the winter months. Everyone seems to like it. Eventually, when seasons open up a little bit, I'd love to experiment a bit more, but as of right now, that's really what's working.
That menu sounds amazing, especially for winter time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, what else could be better than wild rice, bacon, chicken, soup, and all the sides you just mentioned? I will post all of these recipes on comeoverfordinner.com. So if you're interested in recreating her menu, jump over there and you can see everything she's talking about. We're going to put those up so I can recreate this menu. I feel like that needs to go on my next shopping list. And tell me a little bit more about this apple pie.
I'm trying to think of the specific spice, cardamom. I'll throw in like cinnamon and cloves, and I don't know, I love spicy pies, but they call for cardamom in the recipe, and it just has this like special, unique little twist to a typical apple pie. And people have in the past, again, not necessarily because of my great skill, but just because the recipe is great, they have raved about it. So it's a good pie. You should check it out.
Well, I don't think I've used cardamom. I'm going to have to try it.
Yeah. It's a nice little twist to a typical pie.
That sounds so delicious. In 2020, everybody took a deep dive into sourdough bread or just bread baking in general. You could not find yeast on the shelves at all. But I took a deep dive into making apple pie, which is really funny. Maybe it's because I couldn't find yeast in the store. I don't even know. But
Oh,
somehow I
really?
decided this is the year I'm going to perfect an apple pie. And so I looked at all these different recipes and I don't even know how many times I made apple pie and tried different things until I kind of created my own recipe, which I still am not quite sure it's perfect. But I have not ever done the cardamom. So I'll have to make yours and then maybe even think about adding it to mine because it's still kind of a work in progress.
Well, pie is just so fun and it's pretty. So you just can't go wrong.
No. And the great thing about apple pie is that you can do it year round. You can
Yes.
find great apples all year round. You can serve it with ice cream. You could serve it with whipped cream. You can serve it just totally as is by itself. And it's always delicious. Do you have any shortcuts or time savers that you would use with this menu?
I usually make dessert in the morning, or even if I'm particularly busy, I'll make it the day before. The reason is I love for my kids to be involved, and they love to be involved. We try to make hospitality a very family affair. And so that way, if we make it in the morning or if we make it the day before, then they can be a part of things and we can make tons of messes and no one's stressing out, no one's getting mad because the flour went everywhere. So I usually do that. And then during like the kids' quiet times, I'll chop up some vegetables and even cook some chicken or whatever meat I'm serving with the soup. Try to think of ways to take pressure off those last few hours before guests come because those hours tend to just be filled with things I also didn't expect. So it just helps a lot of what I'm doing right now with the kids being the ages that they are. I'm trying to think of ways to keep things very cheerful and just happy. And so planning ahead, doing a lot of things earlier than I need to has been just a key part of this, of us being able to even do this.
How do you get your kids involved? What specific tasks do they do?
Well, so I will sometimes, depending on what I'm making. So let's use the apple pie. I know my older can peel the apples. My second oldest likes to mix with the bowl. She likes to do anything like that. And then my third, he just loves to eat the apples. So he will sit and be with us.
Quality control.
Yes, yes. He was very proud to be a part of things, to be sitting on the counter with us. But right now, he's 2, and that's really what he wants to do is just eat the apples. So I let him do that.
So much fun.
Yeah, it really is. So really, I just kind of find any way that I can include them. If I'm trying to think of different recipes. Yeah, like chocolate chip cookies, they'll help me make the little balls and put them on the pan. It's amazing. Just those little simple things. They don't have to be complicated, but it's all connecting like, hey, hospitality is super fun. We get to do this with mama. And so just precious.
Well, and them jumping in now, by the time they're a few years older, they will be so skilled at what they're doing that they really will be a true help where you can just be hands off and they can make the chocolate chip cookies or whatever. It's
Yes,
just
I hope so.
incredible blessings later in the future
Hmm.
with training them now. And there are some really fun tools for kids that I didn't know. I mean, I don't think they existed when my kids were growing up, but on my website, I have some things people have recommended in the kids section, like safe knives that they can cut things, but it's not going to cut their skin, and just different things that, of course, kids can use regular spoons and all that sort of thing. But some people have recommended giving them a little cutting board and knife, this kid safe knife, not a real knife. And they can just go to town.
Yes, I should try that with them.
So, anyway, it sounds like your kids have a great time in the kitchen. What is your best prep tip? Do you have any advice for when you're thinking about having people over, the ways you get ready?
Yes, so I have a few. Probably my favorite prep tip for renovations that we've come up with is something called tool stations. So when we first moved into the house, we had paint cans like all over the place and toolboxes kind of in random places. And it was just not helping the environment of calm and neat and tidy. And so we have this specific spot. It's out of the way, but still really easy access. And we put all of our light fixtures, all of our paint, all of our tools, and everything in that spot so that when guests come, they're not overwhelmed by all the tools. And it also is easy access. So if I have a spare 10 minutes, I can go grab a paint can and paintbrush and do some 10-minute painting and then put it back and not have to go through this whole going out to the garage, grabbing the tool, coming back in, doing the thing, and then going out and putting it out in the garage again. That's been really helpful just because there is so much mess everywhere. That was something I wasn't expecting, just how overstimulated I could possibly be with just tools everywhere. Kind of going along with that, not at all in renovations, but as far as helping myself be less stimulated, I have done over the past several years a massive pantry stock up in the fall. And this has just continued to help me even in this season because my mental space is much more full of projects and things. I can usually just pull out stuff, flour, sugar, vanilla, meat in the freezer, like so many things that I use all the time. It cuts down on grocery store trips. It cuts down on just like, I don't have what I need, And so that's been huge to help myself with just all the other things that we're carrying on in.
Yeah, if you have everything in the pantry, you can make a lot of things. And like you say, if you did a massive stock up, every week you can just add a little bit of things to your grocery list, do a small order.
Yes, exactly.
That would make it easy.
You can hear the theme. I'm trying to always think of ways to put pressure off, to take pressure off and have things go smoothly so that we can accomplish just the goals that we would like for our family.
Well, with 4 small children, that does require some thinking ahead. I can imagine it would be stressful to have a construction zone and be raising 4 small children. Speaking of, as a side note, how do you keep the children out of your tool station? I mean, I know when you're inviting other people in too, how do you tell other children stay out of the tool station or whatever? Like, how do you manage that?
Ironically, they just listen. That's like really funny. They have listened so well through this whole process.
They're obedient. You're great parents.
There were a couple weeks where we were refinishing the upstairs floors and we were ripping up carpet. I mean, there were nails, there were like staples, things that just were really sharp. And my husband, he had to go out to work, during the day. And then he'd come home during obviously at the end of the day. But for those hours, like we would just say, hey, you got to be careful where you step. And praise the Lord, they have done so well. I'm so proud of them. Thankfully, like my older two are old enough to really understand, like, oh yeah, that can hurt me. But they've just been really dear. They've been really dear throughout the whole process.
Well, that's wonderful. Before we move forward, a big thank you to the sponsors for supporting today's episode. Are you searching for hands-on activities to help your kids explore the practical side of science? Look no further than your kitchen. Inquisicook blends food science and culinary arts into an engaging program that puts delicious food on the family table. Let Inquisicook do the teaching with lesson videos, reliable recipes, and assessment tools that put students on track for success. Their online platform is easy to navigate and optimized for mobile, so the learning experience can move from the classroom to the kitchen without a hitch. Inquisicook turns curious students into intuitive cooks, not just recipe followers. Say goodbye to the tyranny of the ingredients list and say hello to utilizing what's in season, what's on sale, or what's in the fridge. Visit inquisicook.com to view sample lessons, then check out the recipe gallery to see just how crave-worthy science can be. Today's culture shifts like sand, but New St. Andrews College is established on Christ, the immovable rock. The college is a premier institution that forges evangelical leaders who don't fear or hate the world. Guided by God's Word, equipped with the genius of classical liberal arts and God-honoring wisdom, With a faculty dedicated to academic rigor and to God's kingdom, New St. Andrews College offers an education that frees people. To find out more, visit nsa.edu. Okay, back to your prep tips.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say
go
I
ahead.
have another tip if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead. Jump in.
So I'll say beware of two ditches that you can fall into as a hostess, caring too much or not caring enough. I've found sometimes I can even have both the combination happening at the same time. The day we have company arriving, I'm either like hyper aware of the spots that are in my house that aren't the way that I want them to be. You know, like the little, I don't know if you've done many projects before, but drywall, I feel like we'll be working years to just get it all smooth and stuff. But it'll look nice during the day, but then you'll turn the lamp on and there's like a Mount Everest on your wall, you know? It's so, it's just so wild.
The shadows are terrible.
Yes, it's so true. But then I can also jump on the other side and just have this like, my house will never be nice. This is just, you know, just this kind of hopeless, self-absorbed, woe is me kind of attitude that can flare up. So if I let myself fall into either of those ditches, not only am I going to be just a terrible hostess, right? But I'm also completely missing the point of what we're doing, right? So on those days, and at the beginning when it was particularly messy, I found myself doing this several days in advance. I sing a lot, I pray a lot. We have just a lot of conversations with our kids about how much we love the house. My husband will play a game with me called How Much Have We Done, where he'll ask me all the little projects that we've done. And it's so hilarious.
Sometimes you really do just need a list.
Yes, so true.
Just to make you feel like you've accomplished something.
Yes.
That's true of a typical day. Sometimes I'll go a whole day and have to really recount, what did I do today? Because I've been working all day, but it feels like I've done nothing.
And I think we can, you know, these renovations, like we've been blessed with the house. This is such a beautiful thing. We're welcoming people into our house. It's such a small blip of time that things will not be as they should be. So I think it's really easy to just get into the habit of, I can despise this process and not have any consequences. But I've just found that to not be true. So the goal of the day when we have guests coming over is just starting the day with thank you, Lord, for blank. Thank you, Lord, for blank. And just going throughout the whole day. And I've just seen a lot in my own heart. Again, the mood of our home, how well the kids respond to having people over. My husband, like, if I am grateful and cheerful, then things just go well. Things go better. My guests are even happier, you know, they're more rested. And yeah, so beware of the two ditches, caring too much or not caring enough.
Great advice. What is your best advice for making people feel warm and welcome when they come into your home?
Great question. Obviously, it goes along with what I just said, but being cheerful, keeping my eyes off myself, asking questions, all those things. Anyone can be hospitable, anyone can make food, but when you're trying to foster relationship, kindness, grace, a lot of what I'm doing has to do with my own heart and in my own mind. And then the Lord is kind to just spread that all over the place. As far as like fun, pretty things, I'll take these candles on Amazon. There's these, I think they come in a 6-pack, but they're just pillar candles. And then I'll get a bunch of candlesticks and I'll put them all throughout our house, particularly with things being so messy. I find the candles everywhere kind of produces this hushed environment that is very not stimulating. It's very restful. So I'll take a thrifted plate. I love English ironstone. I'll take a really pretty plate that I have and I'll stick the pillar candle on there and I'll put it on our piano or I'll put it on a cabinet. I'll put one on our mantle. I'll turn the fire on and we'll have, I don't know, 4 candles going in the same room, which might be a little excessive, but we also have like a really excessively messy environment that we're working with. So
you need to try to balance it with excessive calm.
Yes, it's so true.
Well, and
It's
lots
so
of
true.
beautiful lighting, especially in the winter, is just kind of makes for a wonderful environment.
It does. If you fill your house with, yeah, just like a lot of gentle light, and sometimes I'll go out and I'll grab some branches, just they don't have leaves on them, but that's really pretty to put in a vase, just all little ways. It really helps with diminishing the perspective on, oh my gracious, there's no ceiling there, and more on, oh, there's a really pretty candle, or, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, those are great tips. Do you have any other advice for making your home a welcoming environment, especially while it's a construction zone?
Mhm. Yes. So I'm always thinking of ways of how to counteract the crazy, which I've been saying throughout this whole process. And right now, our dining room, actually, my husband is currently right now putting up the ceiling. Prior to this, we have not had a ceiling. It's been just like really messy area. So rather than just settle for messy, I try to make things very cheerful. So I'll use tablecloths. I will set the table with pretty vintage dishes, just thinking, kind of going above and beyond to counteract the messy. My kids like everything. They get involved. They're setting the table. It's really fun. Sometimes we'll do name tags, and they really enjoy finding where they're sitting, and it's just a really sweet way of making things kind of calm and welcoming and quieting the mess.
Mm-hmm. Your oldest girl, she would be amazing at writing the name tags.
Yeah, she's very good. She's always asking. Actually, what she'll do during her quiet time is she'll set the table for all her dolls, and she'll make little name tags herself, which is so cute.
That is so
I
cute.
love that. So she enjoys it.
She's already practicing. She's already going to be amazing at
Yes.
it. That's pretty great. Tell us one of your must have kitchen items. So, you do have a functioning kitchen, which I guess is one of the things that you're thankful for, at least for now, until it's not a functioning kitchen. And then you'll be thankful for other things and thankful that you will have a functioning kitchen. But for now, what is one of your favorite kitchen items that you would recommend?
So I don't even know if this classifies as a kitchen item, but it has been just a wonderful addition to my hospitality repertoire that I'm building. And that is a simple drink dispenser. For whatever reason, I will set the table really pretty, and I'll have nice napkins and silverware, obviously, and I'll have glasses, but it never fails. I always forget to fill the glasses with water. I mean, just like this is just a pattern. It happens all the time. And I don't know if I'm worried about my kids like accidentally spilling the glasses or whatever. But, anyways, I just keep forgetting. And so I got this drink dispenser, and my gracious, it is the best thing. People just get up and get their own water, and it's pretty. So you're not like going over to the kitchen faucet and just filling up a elegant glass with like tap water. You know what I mean? Not that that's bad. It's fine. But it does kind of interrupt the niceness of it all. So
Right.
that's been huge. It saves me some time, something I don't have to think about. I can prepare it ahead. Mine has a insert in the center that you can fill it up with ice cubes. And so it can have like cold water. You can do fun drinks and different things if you wanted to, but we usually just do water because it's simple.
Mm-hmm.
Always trying to take things off my plate that I don't need to need to worry about.
Well, when you're managing to feed 4 children, I'm sure there's lots of you feeding like the baby and then chopping and helping the younger ones. So it's a lot of work when you're hosting and have small children who are still requiring a lot of care.
Very true. And I will just shout out to my husband, who is just the greatest help. He is very on top of things, and he definitely helps me just all the time. I wouldn't be able to host the people that we're hosting. I wouldn't be able to do that if he wasn't so engaged. And thankfully he is. And so,
Yes.
yeah.
So he's a top recommended kitchen item as well.
Oh, yes,
Just
you
kidding.
better believe it.
I have had
Yes.
people on here say that before. My recommended
Oh,
kitchen item is my husband. I'm like, well,
so
you already have
funny.
him. So I guess for everyone else, it's your husband or pull him in. Or, if Not if you don't have a husband, get thee a husband.
Yes, so true. That is the most accurate. Those hospitality books that are written, they should talk about a handy husband, because I don't know how I'd be able to do anything without him.
That's wonderful. Do you have a favorite story from all your years of hospitality, or maybe even one specifically relating to your innovations in hospitality that you want to share with us?
Yes. So this actually just happened a couple months ago. This was early October, or no, I'm sorry, late October. There I was, ready to host a birthday party for my two older girls because their birthdays, one is in October and one is in November. So we were going to combine it. And there was one thing that we had to do if the party was going to be at our house. My parents were coming into town and we were hosting a party. But the thing we had to do was take a bathroom out of the dining room. Someone got it in their head that it would be such a great idea to have a bathroom right smack dab in the middle of the dining room. Well, obviously, our opinions were varied on the usefulness of that. So, my husband, who has never done anything like this before, he just started, chipping away at the walls and getting the drywall off. To be honest, we were both just waiting for the house to come crashing down because it was just crazy. It was such like sweaty palms and everything as we're working. But thankfully, the walls came down and the beams came out pretty seamlessly. It was amazing how, nothing bad happened there yet. So at that point, we're the day before the party and we have one little task left to do. We got the wall out, we got the doors out, all of that, but there was this random wire that was just kind of hanging out. It didn't look like it had any purpose because we've encountered other wires prior to this that the wire was just from the 20s or whenever they, maybe the 40s or something. So we would just throw it out and, have no consequences. So the light's at the end of the tunnel. My one task that we have to do is get rid of this wire. So now we know that all wires serve some type of purpose. But prior to this, we were convinced that it was just one of these random wires. So an hour before my parents drive in, my sweet husband, he goes to cut the wire. And not only does the chandelier go out, but also all the outlets in the dining room out. Not only the outlets in the dining room, but many of the outlets in the living room out. I mean, the house goes dark. We have no lamps, nothing. Everything's dark prior to. We have some light.
Those candles are going to come in handy.
Yes, no kidding. So we just look at each other and I can see it in my husband.
Like, what did we just do?
Yeah, right. Like,
what horrible decision did I just
yes,
make?
exactly. So we just we start laughing because, of course, this is just the day before the party, an hour before my parents come, all this stuff. So people start coming over to the party the next day. And come to find out, everyone was convinced that I was just trying to produce this moody atmosphere with all the candles. I had forgotten to tell them that no, it's because we don't have electricity because of that silly wire. That one wire. It's gone.
I guess it wasn't so bad that they thought it was intentional, so it can't have been that they were in the complete dark.
I mean, yeah, I guess, maybe we're just really good at setting the mood, but we had no lighting. We just used candles. And then we ended up finding a way that we could have a lamp in the dining room. But it was at the end of the party that we discovered that. So we had no lighting for the majority of the party. And we had holes in the floor from taking the bathroom out. And we had holes in the wall from taking out like vanity mirrors and things and opening up that whole space. And on top of that, we had no ceiling. And the funniest thing about it is that everyone had a great time. My kids just enjoyed themselves so much. And we laughed so much about it. Like, it could not have gone better with all of those things happening. Stories just are so rich and hilarious, and yeah,
Yes.
just so sweet.
Great and funny memories.
Yes, yes. So that's my story. Who knows if there will any
Oh, my word.
something more crazy, but so far nothing more crazy than that has happened.
So far, you've decided not to cut random wires
Yes,
until you know
yes,
exactly what it is you're cutting.
yes, exactly. Lesson learned.
That's pretty great. Yeah, that's a pretty stressful time when all of a sudden you realize you've cut all electricity off and all these people are fixing to walk into your house. But those situations definitely make the best stories. And, like you say, you'll have something to laugh about for years to come. And it's probably pretty good to take pictures during those moments too, because later when the house is finished and beautiful, you'll remember how far you've come, how much work you've actually accomplished, how much has changed, kind of have a picture montage, a beginning all the way to the end.
Yes, that has been so fun to already look back and see how much progress we've made. And a lot of them, I have my husband in the pictures because I want to remember how much work he put in. My father in law, I've gotten some pictures of him and my father when he's been in town. It's been sweet to like remember all the work that my husband mainly, but my father and father in law have put into. It's just really been sweet. So
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for all of your tips and your advice and encouragement for us to keep doing hospitality, even when we're in the middle of a home renovation, even when there's holes in the bathroom floor.
yes, so true. Yes, even when. Oh, but thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to hear from so many people in all different walks of life. I know I've learned so much from other women who are not renovating, but are doing other things that I can learn from. So just I'm glad to be here.
All right. Until next time. Bye for now.